All right, I really want to show you the key excerpts of this debate that I had earlier today about the war in Iran on the Piers Morgan show. As many of you know, I avoid panels like the plague. I almost always say no because it's just people screaming over each other, trying to get attention, throwing poo at each other for the entertainment of the audience. I just would rather not do it. But when I heard that this panel was going to include the former IDF spokesman, Jonathan Kornikas, I immediately said yes, along with him on the panel, and myself was Anna Kasparian, who's become a very outspoken and articulate critic of Israel and U.S. support for it, as well as the former General Mark Kinnett, who's also served as an Assistant Secretary of State. Didn't always agree with him, but I really appreciated his candor about certain key aspects of this war, as you'll see. And there was some Iranian activist, exile type, who used to be in the Canadian legislature, who wants the U.S. and Israel to go fight a war and change the government of her country so she can go back. She's not really relevant to this particular discussion. So I'm just going to, that's the setting. Now, the guest that they had on before the panel, and I didn't realize this when I said yes, was former Vice President Mike Pence. And part of what I want to show you in the debate that I had involved my comments about Mike Pence. So I do just want to show you briefly, very briefly. I'm sorry to subject you to Mike Pence, but I had to endure him for almost 20 minutes of my ear. But I actually think it's worth it. Mike Pence is somebody who not only when he was in Congress voted for the Iraq War and publicly advocated for the Iraq War for years after it was over. He's one of the people in Washington who never bothered to apologize or admit that he was wrong. To this day, he believes the Iraq War was the right thing to do. He became an outspoken supporter of President Obama's war in Libya as well. Yet another disaster. Obviously, the war in Afghanistan, yet another disaster, all based on falsehoods and lies. And the fact that Mike Pence can go around advocating this new regime change war in Iran using basically the same exact script, not even bothering to change it. Just like Fox News, you turn that on, it sounds like 2003. They don't even bother to change the script. It's not just an insult to the intelligence of the American people who lived through that, but also just such a proof of what lack of accountability we have in our politics and journalism, that the people who sold those destructive wars based on lies are still welcomed as the experts to whom you're supposed to listen and who's supposed to have credibility. So here was just a little glimpse of what Mike Pence had to say.
The fight really to the heart of terrorism, which is the mullahs in Tehran, many of whom have been eliminated. But now comes a time where I think we have to see this through and create the conditions where the people of Iran who have longed for freedom and democracy and human rights can reclaim their country.
We have to go to the region, fight the heart of terrorism. That used to be Baghdad. Now it's Iran. We have to go free the people and bring them democracy that they've craved for so long, which used to be the Iraqi people. Now it's the Iranian people. Same exact script. This is a person who has lied continuously as a public official to lie the country into wars, has been wrong about every war he's advocated. He barely changes the script that he used for all those other wars. And it's amazing how many people in media are also repeating the same script that they repeated themselves as servants of government messaging. Mike Pence is just so robotic that you can really see it vividly in him. All right, here was the part where I want to show you that Piers came to me. There was a lot of back and forth between Anna and the IDF spokesman. I had my own back and forth with him a couple of times. So I just want to show you the clip. It's about 7 minutes long, but I think it's really worth understanding the dynamic of what this war really is, of how Israel thinks about it, of what the IDF spokesman had to say when I questioned him. Here it is. Voted for the Iraq War in 2002, 2003, continued to defend it for many years. And unlike many American politicians who did that, who ended up saying they regretted it or it was a mistake, Mike Pence to this very day believes that going into Iraq was the right thing to do. And everything that he said in justification and defense of this new war was exactly the things that he and all the other American leaders who wanted this war in 2002 and 2003 were saying then. But it's not just the Iraq War. It's also exactly what happened in Libya. President Obama said, oh, don't worry, this isn't a regime change war. It's just to protect the people of Benghazi, and that it ended up being a regime change war that destroyed Libya. It's what we did in Afghanistan, where we were told, oh, we're just going in to get Osama bin Laden. And then 20 years later, our troops leave, trillions of dollars spent, huge numbers of dead. and the Taliban march right back into power. And you can even go back to Vietnam, where we were lied into that war, lied through that war by many of the same people who telling us now that we have to do this. It is astounding to me that somebody like Mike Pence or so many other people can give lectures on the need to have compassion for civilians after everything we just watched Israel do, vaporizing tens of thousands of people in Gaza, all throughout the Middle East, attacking countries. But since he is here, I do want to ask him, Jonathan, there's a lot of reports in mainstream Western press about how the IDF has built its primary military and intelligence structures, not just within key residential areas in Tel Aviv, but also under. And Piers said, yeah, he agrees. I can deal with those kind of arguments. It's not true that we weren't able to achieve this in negotiations, but when he's making his case, honestly, yeah, we're not there to on some moral crusade to bring freedom and democracy to the Iranian people. We don't care that there's tyranny there. Those are all the pretexts that I can appreciate in terms of candor. Now, I want to show you one final clip. It was like 5 minutes of pure Hasbara from the IDF spokesman, just on and on and on about how Israel is so besieged and the whole world is against us, and we all and they want to destroy Israel, and they're all looking to. And I think in this exchange that I had with him emerged the actual truth about who the apocalyptic, fanatical, nuclear-armed aggressor expansionist state is in the Middle East, and it's not Iran. Listen to this.